In less than 24 hours since making my last video about Islam Makhachev's boxing, I have changed my mind. I said some things in the video that was right, but I did say some things that were wrong. And we'll go over it right now in this video. I have 2 fights from JDM, but before we get into that, I want to get into this resume really quick. Because I didn't know his resume was like this. Now, I might get some hate for this, but this resume is not good to me. It's good in terms of like overall, like if I was just looking at his resume on like a random day, I would be like, yeah, he's beat some names, he's beat some fighters, he's on a win streak. But we are talking about Islam Makhachev, right? And when I look at this resume, it's not very high level. I'm gonna be honest. He beats Anglusa to go into the UFC. He has these first 4 fights with really, not too great opponents. I don't rate Randy Brown good at all. Randy Brown lost to fucking Brian Battle by split decision. You losing to Brian Battle, you're not a great fighter. And then we have Belal I don't know how to fucking pronounce that. But we have that fight right here, which I will show later on. Then we have a Kevin Holland split decision, Gilbert Burns round 3 KO, and then a Belal Muhammad close, great fight decision. So it's like, he has the wins on his resume. He has some great wins, but not an insane resume. Honestly, not a crazy resume. A good win streak, but not a crazy resume, if we're being honest. So let's take a look at this first fight really quick with Belal Hafez. And I know people are gonna say, "Oh, he came in on short notice." I don't give a fuck. Okay. All right. So getting into this fight right away, Hafez is going for a takedown, lifts him up, gets JDM down, and he grabs his legs right here. Now, right here, is something that Islam Makhachev does very well. Grabbing the legs, and he'll put his own legs under, get a lock under, and really just trap your legs. So where you can only move out from using your hips. And with that, he'll place his weight on you, and him having more weight coming in this fight, looking really good at 170. I mean, look at him, bro. Look at him. Looks great at 170. I can't lie. 170 is his weight. So looking better at 170. And yeah, just saying that because I think he is going to look stronger. I think it's definitely his weight class more than 155. 155, he was a weight bully, but now obviously heavier guys, but now he isn't having to cut weight. So he's going to feel way better and focusing on technique this fight camp rather than just weight cutting and primarily weight cutting, trying to make weight and having that worry in the back of your mind. Way better. It's like a weight lifted off his shoulders. Anyways, going to this Hafez fight. He gets JDM on the ground here. JDM does a good job of just kind of keeping his weight on the right side of Hafez. Hafez is trying to really get to the backside, but JDM doing a good job of kind of keeping his back to the cage and getting on his feet right here. Hafez takes him down again, but you'll see here JDM gets back up. And actually when JDM gets back up on his feet, he goes for a little judo throw, which he gets. And Hafez actually does a good job of kind of like anticipating the throw and getting on top and almost getting the back position. So, not bad defending from JDM. Not bad at all. But you see when they break up, there's another instance where Hafez shoots a takedown. I'm just looking at this like, this is Hafez we're talking about, right? Hafez, 9-5 Hafez at the time we're speaking. Not on the level of Islam Makhachev. And I understand he beat Belal Muhammad, which we'll go to that fight in a close decision with Belal Muhammad. And this is something I noticed, too, about the striking of JDM. I really talked about the striking of Makhachev and how JDM could impose his will on Makhachev last video. But when we talk about JDM striking, great striking, great punch selection, great power behind his shots, great boxer, like I said. He has great defensive slips and rolls. But one thing I don't like about him is when he's throwing combos and when he's really loading up and trying to get those power combos going, he's leaving himself open like this. Really leaving himself open. And we'll see more instances. Promise you we'll see more instances in this fight where he leaves himself open. He's kind of leaving his head on the center line and he's loading up with a lot of these power shots. As you know, power shots are really wide shots. So, like I mentioned this in the last video with Islam's check right hook. you're coming out with a hook as a wide shot. So naturally, you're leaving yourself open for other shots. And when you're throwing multiple hooks, 3, 4, 5 hooks, you're going to leave yourself open for a couple seconds, especially if you're not moving your head while throwing it. So that's something I do see with JDM. And Islam is a great counterpuncher, like I said in my last video. So Hafez goes for another takedown. JDM goes for like a guillotine here, doesn't really get it. Hafez sprawls out, or sorry, scrambles out and gets right on top and puts his weight on him. Here is interesting because I feel like Hafez probably should have tried for a crucifix here, right? I'm seeing that left arm is free for Della Maddalena, but I just feel like Hafez could have got this leg over and probably tried for a crucifix, at least advanced to a crucifix. I feel like he didn't try really at all and just kind of put this leg right here, the right leg I think we're looking at, on a knee position and just kind of sat here, put his weight on him. I would have liked to see a crucifix there, but obviously Hafez, we're talking about a 9-5 fighter here, so not going to see the highest level of grappling. Eventually, though, JDM moves the hand out the way, gets up, right back up to his feet, and now we're striking again. Now, you're seeing the thing of where you're seeing Hafez complete these takedowns, get him down, but you're seeing JDM get up. And that's something that's super important because I think there's no question in the MMA community or people predicting this fight that Islam will get the takedown. I think people genuinely do think that. But people that are on JDM's side and have JDM winning, I think they think that he can get up easily on Islam Makhachev, holding him down or taking him down and getting a successful takedown. He could just get up from scrambling. And honestly, after watching these fights, I don't think it's going to be that easy. I don't think it's going to look like him scrambling with Hafez for 3 rounds, getting up multiple times. I understand Hafez shot 3 for 20, but again, we're talking about a 9-5 fighter. Just a lot of opening up here, but you see, again, with the striking, nice striking, but his head's on the center line. He's not moving his head when he's striking. Beautiful strike selection. I like what he's throwing. I like that he's pressuring him back and he's throwing wide hooks. He's setting up everything with the jab. He's marking with the jab, but he's leaving himself open. I can't lie. He's leaving himself open when he's opening up. Hafez goes for another takedown. JDM, I'm pretty sure, defends this. If he doesn't, I'll be mad. Okay, yeah, he defends this. This is my second time watching this fight, so bear with me. All right, and then we have here, again, another instance. Good roll right there, but just, again, opening up with the hooks. He does a cross into a roll. So this is nice, right? This is what I like to see. This is what I knew JDM for, having good defense, having good rolls, having good slips. But when he's opening up with these hooks and going to the body, he's leaving himself open. And Hafez almost lands there. Hafez is throwing actually the wrong strikes. When someone's opening up a lot and throwing a lot of wide shots, I explained this in my last video, you want to throw basic shit, 1-2s down the middle, jab, because it's always going to land faster than a wide shot, than an overhand, than a hook, because it's going to travel faster. It has less time to travel. Hafez tries for a takedown against the cage. JDM tries the guillotine again and just kind of lays flat there. Hafez gets the top position, and again we see JDM on the ground, kind of almost flat on his back. So again, this is a 9-5 fighter. I understand he's getting up every time, but he's 3 for 5 in in this first round, and we're gonna see Hafez gas out in the second and third. But to think, you'll look at these fight stats and you'll see, man, but Hafez shot 3 for 20. He defended 17 takedowns. The 3 takedowns that Hafez landed was when he was fresh. When he was fresh in the first round is the 3 takedowns he's landed. After that, he was fucking gassed out and he was shooting desperation takedowns. I just don't think Islam Makhachev is going to do that, and you see, even at the end of the round, he almost gets this choke. I forgot what this choke is called. Honestly, I forgot what this choke is called. And Hafez actually goes over and almost gets this choke right here. At the end of the round. It's not super tight. It's not something that JDM would have tapped to if there was 30 more seconds left, but it's something he could have advanced on. And it's something that the judges could see and see, okay, he was in a sub attempt. All right, let's go to the second round. We're already seeing Hafez kind of, slowing down a little bit. Not looking. He's looking fresh, but you'll see. You'll see. And another takedown from Hafez. Not really, again, not setting these up well, but he is getting to the legs. Just not setting it up well. Good sprawl from JDM. And to go back to the cage and get up on his feet, reverses him. And Hafez kind of gets like a spinning elbow coming out. Good high kick from Hafez. So now you're going to see Hafez shooting these desperation takedowns for the next 2 rounds of this fight. And then just getting into these exchanges where JDM is throwing a lot of hooks and Hafez not realizing that, okay, I need to throw some straight shots. I need to throw some 1-2s because he's opening up with wide shots. No, instead, he's just kind of getting in a firefight with JDM and throwing hooks with him as well and just getting hurt. So as he's getting hurt against the cage and then shooting these desperation shots. Just not very good. And you see, look when he actually throws something that is super technical and super disciplined. Hafez off a jab, I think that JDM throws. I know JDM just kind of backs up, tries to parry this jab, and he lands the cross. JDM tries to land that check right hook, but barely lands. Actually does a good job of coming back off of that, though, and landing a body shot. But like we said about Islam Makhachev is very good at using his movement. And, doesn't have the best footwork, but has really good in and out type of footwork to where he could throw this 1-2 and then just bounce out. And again, he actually, holy shit, he actually throws the same shit. 1-2, lands the 1-2 again because JDM is throwing that hook again, the wide hook. And so Hafez is landing the faster punch. It's going to land faster. And he actually lands the right hook coming back. So he lands a 1-2-3, almost stumbles JDM just a tiny little bit. But now you see Hafez. Let's take a look at Hafez, and he's a little tired. Actually, he's getting tired. He's getting there. This pace is just too much for him. He's winging a lot of shots. He's throwing a lot of desperation. He's throwing every shot with 100% power, and you can easily get tired like that. Islam is someone who is definitely more controlled, definitely more disciplined, and just lighter on every aspect of at least the striking and in his game plan. Hafez goes for another takedown here. Almost gets the lock. Really doesn't, though. JDM has one underhook in on the right side, and so he's against the cage. But again, these are Hafez is getting to this takedown. He's not getting to the takedown, but he's getting to a place where he can rest. And that's very important. Think about that real quick. If Islam is in any sort of trouble, as long as he can get to the legs and have JDM defend, it's going to make JDM work, right? And it's also it can make Islam rest as well, because I feel like, actually I know that Islam is not going to use as much energy as Hafez is using on these takedowns, and he's not going to be, throwing 100% power every single shot. He's going to set up his timing and his takedowns well. This is Islam Makhachev we're talking about. They're going to come in with a game plan, okay? So I like the fact that Hafez is even just getting here, because here is a break for just anyone, not even just for Hafez. Hafez is already, like I said, he's tiring, he's slowing down. But Islam Makhachev, let's say he was in that instance 20 seconds before against the cage, JDM pressuring, let's say he shoots for one, and now he has him here where he's able to rest. He's able to get that little breather going. I like that, especially in a 5-round fight. And it's just, I know JDM can reverse and get out of that position, but it's also giving Makhachev, again, a time to just even get to that position and take down and just even closing that gap. It's not like Islam can't close that gap. And that's what I'm kind of trying to, that's what I'm getting to right now. Now you see here, 2:25 into the round, JDM's just loading up on everything, because at this point, look at Hafez, bro. Hafez is tired as shit, and this is the second round. The dude shot 3 for 5 in the first round and tired himself out. So again, a good win for JDM, a good win. But I want you to know, when you are seeing 3 for 20 takedowns, A lot of those takedowns were gassed out desperation shots from Hafez. And even on some of them, like right here, he's still getting to that single leg, or sorry, that double leg, or no, sorry, single leg. JDM does a good job of sprawling out here, but then he, and this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. He has this like front choke here, and kind of like the infamous Islam choke that he does, that the one he submitted with Charles. He has this here, right? Hafez is bringing his leg down. He could stay on top here. He could stay on top here in this position on his knees and just kind of pull his weight down on Hafez. Instead, he pulls guillotine. or almost kind of, and drops down, pulls guillotine a little bit. I just don't like it. I don't like that decision making, because now now you're flat on the ground with Hafez again, and he's trying to get under that elbow right there of or sorry, the armpit of JDM on the left side or right side of JDM. But I just don't like the decision making, you know? And for the rest of the round, let me see. Does he stay down for the rest of the round? He stays down for the rest of the round, right? Hafez gets a desperation shot, gets one single leg. JDM pulls guillotine and gets flattened out for the rest of the round. Bad decision making. Bad decision making. He could have had this guy out in the second. And you're gonna see here too, in the third, he could have had this guy out. This honestly, this fight should have never went decision because of the shape of Hafez. The shape of Hafez was terrible from the second and the third. And JDM had the opportunity to end the fight. And you'll see here. Before we get to JDM almost finishing Hafez, though, let's take a look at this. Hafez gets on a single leg. Good balance from JDM to go back to the cage and have good balance, not falling down. But again, this is another rest position. I understand JDM is defending this, and he's defending this well. He's probably not going to get taken down here, but this is another rest position. This is giving Hafez a little breather. He's just not the smartest fighter with the smartest gas tank or with the best gas tank. But for any other fighter, that would give him a little breather. All right, now we back off. Now we're back into striking. You know, fake a takedown, then come up top. And that's something that I like that Hafez did right there. Fake a takedown and come up, you know, because he's going to be on defense of the takedown. He's not going to strike off of it. Islam Makhachev can do a lot of feints here. He can feint a takedown, then he could go into his striking. He could go into his striking, feint a takedown, and that would make JDM be defensive, and then Islam gets the last of that exchange, right? There's a lot of things that Islam can do to have rest points in this fight, to have points where he doesn't have to work a lot and JDM does. And that's something I saw with this fight, and even with the Belal fight, which we'll get into next. I see that as well. And then this is something I was talking about in last video, when Islam Makhachev likes to do that like Muay Thai clinch. Now that I know what it is, someone in my comments, thank you for letting me know. It's like a Muay Thai clinch that Islam does that I was explaining in the last video that I really don't like he does in his fights. He did it a lot in the Dustin fight, and Dustin didn't take advantage of it. JDM ripping to the body as soon as he gets in that Muay Thai clinch. So I do like that about JDM. If Islam gets in that Muay Thai clinch, body shots are coming. So, yeah. Good one, too. And this is the part where he has him hurt bad. And again, Hafez is getting a little break. Boom, boom, big right hands. Now he's loading up on all his shots, right? You know, it looks like it's about to be the end of the fight. Hafez shoots another desperation takedown. He has this front, he has this front choke that I really don't think he has in his bag. Instead goes to the back. And this is a dumb decision here, in my opinion. You have this guy real hurt, really hurt. A minute 40 left, and you're going to go to the ground. After, in the first, you were on the ground. There was a sub attempt. And then the second, at the end of the second, you got held on the ground for about 2.5 minutes. I don't understand this. I feel like you should have let Hafez up. He was in bad shape. And this is what I mean, that Hafez got a break in this fight from getting finished. Hafez gets flattened out, but from here he's just still moving his upper torso to where JDM is getting high on his back. And now it's just Hafez, obviously he's moving, he's gassed out. But this is a break for anyone else with a better gas tank. And just better fight IQ. Like I feel like he should have let him up here. And eventually this goes to JDM being on his back to Hafez being on top. Like in 30 seconds, it went from JDM almost stopping this fight, almost getting a brutal KO knockout, into Hafez being on top now with a minute left. You know, like I really don't understand that decision making in that aspect. Just it's not the type of decision making I want to see in your past fights when you're going against someone like Islam Makhachev, who is someone that you can't really have that much mistakes in. And I know, going back to the Dustin Poirier fight with Islam, I know it took him 5 rounds, and I know Dustin even had, chances to stop the takedowns and had his rest. But looking at that fight, Dustin was also brought to deep waters. Dustin also had to work to defend his takedowns. And when I think about Dustin Poirier, I made a comment like saying JDM might have better takedown defense than Dustin Poirier. And when I look back at that video or at that fight, I might take that back. JDM has better scrambles, but as far as takedown defense, I don't know. Like, can we say JDM has been in there with a grappler like Charles Oliveira? I understand he's been in there with Belal Muhammad. I understand. But let's compare him to Dustin Poirier real quick in his resume. He's been in there with BSD as well. I feel like he's been in there with more high-level grapplers than JDM has. JDM has only been against really Belal Muhammad that we can really say. I mean, I feel like the past experiences from this Khabib loss from Dustin Poirier, the loss from Charles Oliveira, and then the BSD fight, I feel like it helped him in stopping the takedowns against Islam Makhachev. Does that make sense? And even with the BSD fight, I'm not sure off the top of my head how many takedowns he did. I don't think he did a lot of takedowns. I don't even know if he did one. My point is, though, he was training for something like that, right? BSD is a known grappler. So there's without a doubt for this camp, he was training his grappling. And that's what I mean with Islam Makhachev. It was surprising because seeing his takedown defense, it was actually not that bad. It took him 5 rounds for Islam to submit him. As with JDM, he's just never been against this level of grappling. I understand he's went against Belal Muhammad, but we're going to get into that Belal Muhammad match. But we'll get into that Belal Muhammad match and do a little breakdown of that. You'll see here, JDM scrambles out of this position against Hafez, and boom, right here. Very vulnerable position. Islam easily gets this front choke, or just has urgency to get this front choke, and probably wouldn't allow JDM to get on his feet from here. Just because of him leaving his neck in that position, I know Islam would have jumped on that. I know he would have. So last 30 seconds of the fight, another desperation shot from Hafez, but he's getting to the fence. He's still getting to the fence. I understand he's not taking him down, but he's still getting to the fence. And another thing here, JDM tries to twist this arm and gets himself on the ground. Good scramble, getting on top there. But I don't know, man. Like, are we saying when I look at his scrambles, most of his scrambles result in him getting a better position on the ground, right? Do we think he's gonna scramble with Islam Makhachev and get Islam Makhachev's back, or or get Islam Makhachev in a vulnerable position, or do we think he's gonna scramble and get on his feet and just get out? Because if you think the second way, I can't believe you. I mean, I just don't see where he can scramble safely without leaving his neck in a vulnerable position. Um, but let's get into his best win. Let's get into JDM versus Belal Muhammad. All right, so we have his best win here. Now, I'm going to tell you real quick what the striking difference of Islam and Belal is. Belal is a great boxer. He really is. But one thing about Belal is that he leaves his head on the center line. Kind of like JDM, but a little bit worse. Belal Muhammad is very straightforward. Very straightforward. Not a lot of slips, not a lot of rolls. And is again super straightforward. He's willing in this fight. He's willing to sit there and bang with you, take your punishment, and bring it back forward. He just didn't have the power enough to really keep Della Maddalena off of him, or too worried about his offense. Now, don't get me wrong, he was still landing, and still did a great job this fight, but just not enough. Not enough in his game and his power and his repertoire to keep JDM off of him, and not from throwing. You see, he is closing that distance though. We'll see this, and all right, and then getting into like halfway, almost halfway of the second round. A lot of people said this fight too that Belal Muhammad should have came with a more grappling heavy approach. I certainly do think that when he came against Leon Edwards, it was more grappling heavy than this game plan. For some reason, I think Belal Muhammad either wanted to prove his boxing was good this fight, or just wanted to use his boxing way more than a grappling approach this fight. Because I feel like he came with a more, well, no, I know he came with a more boxing heavy game plan, which is weird against a boxer, right? You wouldn't really do that, you know? And I feel like he did such a good job with Leon Edwards and coming with that grappling heavy stance, and having the balance between striking and going for takedowns. This fight, I feel like he didn't have that. And it could be from just losing confidence, the fact that he probably couldn't take Maddalena down or really hold him there for too long. But I feel like you keep going to the well with it and going to the well with it. You want to make Della Maddalena work. You just don't want to sit there and strike with him just because your takedowns aren't working, you know? I look at Ian Gary versus Carlos Prates. He really couldn't take Carlos Prates down and hold him in a vulnerable position for too long. But he was still attempting takedowns to make Carlos work and to really shut down that defense you saw up until the fifth, or the last minute of the fifth round with Carlos Prates and Ian Gary. The offense was really shut down from Carlos. You know, he really couldn't get his strikes off without having to worry about getting taken down or having to defend something. And obviously Carlos almost finished Ian Gary at the end of that fight, but everything up leading to that was, you know, just a bunch of defending, and it's work. It's still work. Whether it's working or not, it's still work. And we'll see, like, these blitzes here, right? Good blitz from Belal Muhammad, good technical blitz. I mentioned Islam striking the last video. I said his weight distribution was bad and sometimes his footwork gets sloppy on his blitz. I don't think JDM would have the countering effect to overcome that and take advantage of the weight distribution that Islam Makhachev has in his flaws. I really don't think so. I think if Makhachev tries to blitz in, I just think JDM will shell up and probably roll or slip out. I don't think he's that much of a counterpuncher too much. I think he likes being first a lot more. And like setting up his shots, like thinking about what he's throwing next, more than a counterpunch. He could counterpunch, but not a super counterpunch heavy boxer. And like even here, we see here, Belal tries to counter with a cross and hook, and just JDM going on defense and then throwing a kick right after everything's done, right after the exchange is done. Just a good job of boxing from both fighters. But definitely what I noticed about Della Maddalena is that he's not a counterpuncher. He likes being first, and that's something that is good. But at the same time, I feel like I would want a boxer to beat Islam in both ways. You know, I want someone to punish him in each and single every aspect of the boxing, not only when you're throwing first, but when you're countering as well. Just every aspect of the stand-up fighting. I would like a fighter to beat Makhachev. That's what I'm looking for when I'm watching JDM. And what I see from watching JDM is that he's really good at throwing first, really good at setting up his combos. But I think Islam has not a lot in his boxing repertoire, but just enough, just enough to pull off a win and to be successful on the feet. Before we get into like the full prediction, let's just go to this fifth round. This fifth round is crazy. This fifth round is crazy, dude. Belal fought so well this fight, but he boxed this fight. He boxed this fight, and it's gonna look different than this. It's not gonna be on the feet as much as this was. Good scramble from JDM, but Belal ends up on top. And I just think Islam is gonna get to these positions. I really do. And when Islam is in this top position at a new weight, 170, putting all his weight on JDM, do we really think he's gonna get up? You know, do we really think he's going to get up? I just don't think so. And eventually, of course, he does get up on Belal Muhammad. But, man, I just don't – I don't think he's going to get up off of a hip throw. I don't think he's going to get up off of just a hip throw. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. I understand Belal, Islam, they might have the same type of grappling style. But Islam, we know this. Islam is a much better grappler. Why are we acting like he's not? Why are we acting like he's not? It baffles me. It baffles me. But yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on this fight, honestly, because it was a lot of boxing. And it was a dirty grit fight. You could break down every aspect and every exchange of this fight. But what I really wanted to talk about was fighters getting to this position on Belal Muhammad. And you could even go to the Gilbert Burns fight. Gilbert Burns, before getting TKO'd, he kind of fought well too, a little bit. And that's Gilbert Burns. I just don't think I don't think JDM has enough. I think he is dangerous. I think he's going to be the most dangerous opponent that Islam Makhachev has gone against. But I don't think he has enough. And I think Islam Makhachev coming into this new weight class, not having to worry about a weight cut, 5'10", 5'11", they're almost the same height. Man, I think Islam Makhachev has this. I think he has this in the bag. And again, less than 24 hours ago, I loved JDM striking, and I loved the fact that I was seeing the flaws in Islam striking. But I can't lie, what I learned from Islam striking was he has not a lot, but just enough. Just enough. Just enough striking, just enough movement, just enough discipline, and, of course, more than enough grappling to win this fight. I'm going to go with Islam Makhachev. I'm going to do second round submission. I'm going to do second round submission. Islam Makhachev, second round submission. Book it. If you made it to the end of the video, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you thought my take was terrible. I'm sure there's some people who probably think it, but we'll see. Saturday, we'll see if I'm right. Makhachev, second round submission. If you want to see every single pick from this card and also the boxing card, there will be a channel link in the description. Parlay for Parlay. It's me and my bros. A little like prediction channel we made. So we'll put some insight there. You'll have 3 minds, maybe 4 minds talking and giving you input on the fight. That way you can make the best bet and make money this weekend. There's hella potential to make money this weekend. I'm very excited. That's of course if you do bet. But if you don't bet and you just like the technical breakdowns, leave a like on this video. It would be really appreciated. And yeah, until the next one. All right. Peace.